What if the key to long-term success and peace isn't found in the latest self-help trends or life hacks, but in ancient wisdom that has stood the test of time? Marcus Aurelius, one of history's greatest Stoic philosophers, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." These words, spoken over 2,000 years ago, still hold profound relevance today, especially in a world that often feels chaotic and overwhelming. This video dives into the transformative power of Stoic rituals, practices rooted in the philosophy of Stoicism that can help you build resilience, sharpen your focus, and cultivate a deep sense of inner peace. These aren't just abstract ideas. They're practical tools you can incorporate into your daily life to navigate challenges, stay grounded, and thrive over the long term. We'll explore 30 powerful Stoic rituals, each designed to help you take control of your mind, align your actions with your values, and create a life of purpose and tranquility. Whether you're facing personal struggles, professional setbacks, or simply seeking a calmer, more intentional way of living, these timeless practices offer a roadmap to enduring success and peace. So let's begin this journey together, uncovering the wisdom of the Stoics and discovering how it can transform your modern life. How do you begin your day, reactively or intentionally? For many of us, mornings can feel like a rush, a scramble to get out the door and into the chaos of life. But what if, instead of letting the day dictate your mood and actions, you could start with purpose and clarity? This is where the Stoic practice of morning reflection comes in. It's not just about waking up, it's about waking up with intention. The Stoics believed that the way you begin your day sets the tone for everything that follows. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once wrote, "Begin at once to live and count each separate day as a separate life." What he meant was this: each morning is a chance to reset, to align yourself with your values, and to prepare for whatever challenges may come. It's about taking a few moments to reflect on your goals, your priorities, and the kind of person you want to be. This isn't just about productivity, it's about cultivating a mindset of calm and focus that carries you through the day. Think about modern professionals who swear by their morning routines. CEOs, athletes, and artists often use the first hour of their day to journal, meditate, or plan. They don't just check their emails or scroll through social media. Instead, they create space to think, to center themselves, and to approach the day with a clear head. It's a practice that doesn't require hours. Just a few minutes of intentional thought can make all the difference. So, what does this look like in practice? It could be as simple as sitting quietly with a cup of coffee, jotting down 3 things you're grateful for, or reviewing your most important tasks for the day. The key is to ask yourself, what do I want to accomplish today? How do I want to show up in the world? These small, deliberate acts of reflection help you step into the day as the author of your own story, rather than a character being pulled along by circumstance. Take a moment to consider your own mornings. Are they filled with frantic energy, or do they have a sense of calm and purpose? How might you structure your morning to create more focus and intention? Even small changes like setting your alarm 10 minutes earlier or replacing screen time with a few moments of quiet can transform the way you approach your day. The Stoics knew that the morning is a sacred time, a blank slate. How will you use it? What if the key to growth lies in how you end your day? The Stoics believed that true progress comes not just from what we do, but from how we reflect on what we've done. This is where the second ritual comes in, the evening review. It's a simple yet profound practice that invites you to pause, look back on your day, and ask yourself 2 essential questions: what went well and what could have been better? Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." This is the heart of the evening review. It's about taking ownership of your actions, your choices, and your reactions. By examining your day, you're not just replaying events, you're learning from them. Did you act with integrity? Did you let frustration or fear guide your decisions? Or did you rise above the challenges and stay true to your values? These reflections aren't about self-criticism, they're about self-awareness, and self-awareness is the first step toward mastery. One practical way to make this ritual a habit is through journaling. At the end of each day, take a few minutes to write down your thoughts. What moments made you proud? Where did you stumble? Journaling helps you process your experiences, turning them into lessons rather than regrets. It's like having a conversation with yourself, one that helps you grow a little wiser each day. Here's a challenge for you. Tonight, before you go to bed, set aside just 5 minutes. Think about your day, what you accomplished, how you handled challenges, and how you treated others. Did you live up to the person you aspire to be? This small act of reflection can become a powerful tool for growth, helping you build not just success but peace of mind. After all, as the Stoics remind us, the quality of your life is shaped by the quality of your thoughts. So why not end your day with a moment of clarity and intention? How can imagining the worst actually help you appreciate the present? It might sound counterintuitive, but this is the heart of the Stoic practice known as negative visualization. The idea is simple. By deliberately envisioning worst-case scenarios, you prepare your mind for life's uncertainties and, in doing so, cultivate a deeper sense of gratitude for what you already have. Think of it as mental training, like lifting weights for your resilience. The Stoics believed that life is unpredictable, and no matter how much we plan, adversity will come. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's most famous Stoics, often reflected on this. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." Negative visualization is a way to embrace that truth. It's not about dwelling on fear or pessimism. It's about confronting potential challenges head-on so you're not caught off guard when they arise. Here's how it works in practice. Let's say you're worried about losing your job. Instead of pushing that fear aside, take a moment to truly imagine it. Picture the details, how you'd feel, the steps you'd take to find new work, the support you'd lean on. By doing this, you're not only preparing yourself emotionally, but also realizing that even in the worst-case scenario, you'd find a way forward. This exercise can help you see that your current situation, no matter how challenging, is still filled with opportunities and resources you might be taking for granted. The beauty of negative visualization is that it doesn't just build resilience, it also fosters gratitude. When you imagine losing something, whether it's your job, your health, or even a relationship, you begin to appreciate what you have right now. It's like shining a light on the ordinary moments we often overlook. Suddenly, the fact that you have a roof over your head or people who care about you becomes a source of quiet joy. So here's a challenge for you. Pick a worry that's been on your mind lately. It could be something big, like a career setback, or something smaller, like a disagreement with a friend. Take a few minutes to visualize the worst possible outcome. What would you do? How would you adapt? And once you've walked through that mental exercise, take a moment to reflect on what you still have in your life right now. You might find that the fear loses its grip and gratitude takes its place. This practice isn't about expecting the worst to happen. It's about being ready for it, and in the process, discovering how much strength and appreciation you already carry within you. Why waste energy on what you can't change? This is the core question at the heart of Stoicism's fourth ritual, focusing on what you control. The Stoics believed that much of our suffering comes from trying to change things that are simply outside our power, whether it's the weather, other people's opinions, or even the past. Instead, they taught us to redirect our energy toward what we can influence, our thoughts, actions, and attitudes. This is what Epictetus, one of Stoicism's most influential thinkers, meant when he said, "Some things are within our power while others are not." Within our power are opinion, motivation, desire, and aversion. In a word, whatever is our own doing. Think about it. How often do we stress over situations we can't control? Maybe you're stuck in traffic, frustrated by a coworker's behavior, or worried about an outcome that's still uncertain. The Stoic approach isn't to ignore these challenges, but to shift your focus to your response. You can't control the traffic, but you can control how you react to it. You can't force someone to change their attitude, but you can choose how you engage with them. This shift in perspective is where true peace begins. Here's a practical way to apply this ritual. The next time you're faced with a stressful situation, pause and make two lists. On one side, write down what's outside your control. On the other, write what's within your power. This simple exercise helps you see clearly where your energy is best spent. For example, if you're dealing with a difficult conversation at work, you can't control the other person's words or emotions, but you can control how you prepare, listen, and respond. By focusing on your actions, you reclaim your power and reduce unnecessary stress. This ritual isn't about giving up or being passive, it's about being strategic with your energy. When you stop fighting against the uncontrollable, you free up mental and emotional space to focus on what truly matters. And that's where growth, resilience, and long-term success begin to take root. What if happiness isn't about chasing more, but about appreciating what's already here? This is the heart of Stoic gratitude, a practice that transforms how we see the world. The Stoics believed that true contentment comes not from external achievements or possessions, but from cultivating a deep sense of appreciation for the present moment. As Seneca once said, true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. In other words, gratitude isn't just a fleeting feeling, it's a deliberate choice to focus on what we already have rather than what we lack. But how do we make this shift? One powerful way is through a gratitude journal. It's a simple yet profound tool that helps us pause and reflect on the good in our lives, no matter how small. Each day, take a moment to write down 3 things you're grateful for. Maybe it's the warmth of sunlight on your face, a kind word from a friend, or even the quiet stillness of the morning. Over time, this practice rewires your mind to notice and cherish the abundance that's already around you. The beauty of gratitude is that it doesn't require grand gestures or life-altering events. It's in the ordinary, everyday moments where we often find the most meaning. By focusing on these small joys, we build a foundation of inner peace that isn't easily shaken by external circumstances. So why not start today? Grab a notebook and take just 5 minutes to jot down 3 things you're grateful for. You might be surprised at how quickly this simple ritual can shift your perspective and bring a sense of calm to your day. What if discomfort is the path to strength? It's a question the Stoics asked themselves centuries ago, and it's just as relevant today. The idea might seem counterintuitive at first. Why would anyone willingly seek out discomfort? But for the Stoics, this wasn't about punishing themselves or chasing pain for its own sake. It was about building resilience, the kind of inner strength that allows you to face life's challenges with calm and clarity. Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's most famous practitioners, put it simply, the obstacle is the way. In other words, the things that make us uncomfortable, the obstacles, the struggles, the hardships are precisely what help us grow. Think of it like this: a muscle only grows stronger when it's tested. If you never lift anything heavy, your muscles stay weak. The same principle applies to your mind and spirit. By stepping into discomfort, you're training yourself to handle life's inevitable difficulties with grace. This doesn't mean you have to go looking for extreme challenges. It could be as simple as taking a cold shower in the morning instead of a warm one, or skipping a meal to practice fasting. These small acts of voluntary discomfort teach you to adapt, to endure, and to find peace even when things aren't easy. The Stoics believed that by embracing discomfort, you're not just preparing for the big challenges in life, you're also learning to appreciate the good times more deeply. When you've faced hardship, even the smallest comforts can feel like gifts. So, what's one discomfort you could embrace today? Maybe it's starting that project you've been putting off, or having that difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Whatever it is, remember, every step into discomfort is a step toward becoming stronger, calmer, and more resilient. And isn't that what we're all striving for? How would you live if today were your last day? It's a question that might feel uncomfortable at first, but it's one that the Stoics believed could unlock a deeper sense of purpose and clarity. This is the heart of Memento Mori, a Latin phrase meaning "remember you must die." Far from being morbid, this practice was a tool for the Stoics to focus on what truly matters, to strip away distractions, and to live with intention. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Think about that for a moment." Life isn't short because of its length. It's short because of how often we let it slip through our fingers. Memento Mori isn't about dwelling on death. It's about embracing the urgency of life. It's a reminder that our time is limited, and every moment is an opportunity to align our actions with our values. Consider how often we procrastinate, telling ourselves we'll start that project, reach out to that friend, or pursue that dream someday. But someday is a dangerous illusion. The Stoics used Memento Mori to cut through that illusion, to confront the reality that life is finite. When you truly internalize this, it becomes harder to waste time on things that don't matter. Suddenly, the trivial distractions lose their grip, and what's truly important rises to the surface. Here's a practical way to apply this. At the start or end of each day, take just a few moments to reflect on your mortality. You don't need to dwell on it, just let it serve as a gentle nudge to ask yourself, am I spending my time on what truly matters? Are you nurturing the relationships that bring you joy? Are you working toward the goals that align with your deepest values? Are you living in a way that you'd be proud of if today were your last? This practice isn't about fear, it's about freedom. When you remember that your time is limited, you stop waiting for the perfect moment and start making the most of the moment you're in. So take a breath and ask yourself, what would you do differently if you truly embraced the idea that today could be your last? What would you stop putting off? What would you start prioritizing? The answers to those questions might just guide you toward a life of greater meaning and fulfillment. How can you stay calm when everything feels chaotic? The answer lies in cultivating equanimity, a core Stoic principle that teaches us to maintain emotional balance no matter what life throws our way. Think of it as standing in the eye of a storm. While chaos swirls around you, you remain steady, grounded, and unshaken. The Stoics believed that true strength isn't about controlling external events but mastering your internal responses. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, put it this way: it's not what happens to you but how you react to it that matters. This simple yet profound idea reminds us that while we can't always control the circumstances of our lives, we can control how we choose to respond. Equanimity isn't about suppressing emotions or pretending everything is fine. It's about acknowledging what's happening without letting it overwhelm you. So how do you practice this in real life? Start with mindfulness. When you feel stress or frustration rising, pause for a moment. Take a deep breath, inhale slowly, hold it for a few seconds, then exhale. This small act can create a mental buffer, giving you the space to respond thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively. Another practical tip is to remind yourself of what's within your control and what's not. Ask yourself, can I change this situation? If not, how can I adjust my perspective? Here's a challenge for you. The next time you face a difficult moment, try pausing before you react. Notice how it feels to step back, even for just a few seconds. Over time, these small pauses can transform into a habit of calm, helping you navigate life's challenges with greater clarity and resilience. Equanimity isn't something you achieve overnight, it's a practice, a ritual you return to again and again, building your inner strength with each step. What if less truly is more? It's a question that challenges everything modern society tells us about success and happiness. The Stoics believed that true peace and freedom come not from accumulating more, but from learning to desire less. This is the essence of Ritual 9, limit external desires. By reducing our dependence on material possessions and external validation, we create space for what truly matters: inner clarity, resilience, and contentment. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most renowned Stoic philosophers, once wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." His words remind us that excess doesn't bring fulfillment, it often brings distraction and anxiety. The pursuit of more can trap us in a cycle of endless wanting, leaving us perpetually unsatisfied. Stoicism teaches us to break free from this cycle by focusing on what we truly need rather than what we're told to want. So, how do we apply this in our daily lives? Start with something simple: decluttering. Take a look around your living space. Are there items you no longer use or need? Letting go of physical clutter can be a powerful first step toward mental clarity. Or consider reducing screen time. How many hours do you spend scrolling through social media, comparing your life to others? Limiting these external inputs can help you reconnect with your own values and priorities. Here's a challenge for you. Identify one thing you can let go of this week. It could be a possession, a habit, or even a mindset that no longer serves you. By practicing this small act of release, you'll begin to experience the freedom that comes from living with less. Remember, this isn't about deprivation. It's about creating room for what truly enriches your life. What will you choose to release? Why would anyone choose hardship? At first glance, it seems counterintuitive. Why put yourself through discomfort when life already throws enough challenges your way? But for the Stoics, voluntary hardship wasn't about suffering for the sake of suffering. It was a tool, a way to train the mind and body to handle life's inevitable difficulties with grace and strength. Think of it like lifting weights for your character. You don't build muscle without resistance, and you don't build resilience without facing challenges head-on. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "Set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, 'Is this the condition that I feared?'" This practice wasn't about punishing yourself, it was about proving to yourself that you could endure. By willingly stepping into discomfort, you strip away the fear of it. You realize that you're capable of far more than you thought. So how can you apply this in your own life? Start small. Try fasting for a day to remind yourself that hunger isn't an emergency. Sleep on the floor for a night to break the habit of comfort, or take a cold shower to test your mental discipline. These aren't acts of deprivation, they're acts of empowerment. They teach you that you can thrive even when conditions aren't perfect. They remind you that you're not a slave to convenience or luxury. This week, consider taking on one small hardship. It doesn't have to be extreme, just something that pushes you slightly out of your comfort zone. What you'll find is that the more you practice voluntary hardship, the less life's unexpected challenges will shake you. You'll start to see discomfort not as something to avoid, but as an opportunity to grow. And in that growth, you'll find a deeper sense of peace and confidence. What if self-discipline is the key to freedom? It might sound counterintuitive, but the Stoics believed that true liberty comes not from indulging every impulse, but from mastering them. Think about it. When we let our desires dictate our actions, we're not free, we're enslaved to them. Self-discipline, then, becomes the bridge between where we are and where we want to be. It's not about deprivation, it's about alignment, aligning our actions with our deeper values and long-term goals. The Stoics placed immense value on self-control, seeing it as the foundation of a virtuous life. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, put it this way: "No man is free who is not master of himself." In other words, freedom isn't something external, it's an internal state of mind. When we learn to govern our impulses, we gain the power to choose how we respond to life's challenges, rather than being tossed around by every passing emotion or distraction. Let's bring this into the modern world. Consider procrastination, a habit many of us struggle with. It's not just about laziness, it's about letting short-term comfort override long-term progress. Every time we choose to scroll through social media instead of working on that project, we're giving in to an impulse. But what if instead we paused, reminded ourselves of our goals, and took that first small step forward? That's self-discipline in action, choosing what matters most over what feels easiest in the moment. So here's a challenge for you. Think about one habit you'd like to change. Maybe it's hitting the snooze button too often or reaching for unhealthy snacks when you're stressed. Whatever it is, identify it and then ask yourself, what would it look like to exercise just a little more self-discipline in this area? Start small. The Stoics knew that mastery begins with awareness, and from there, it's a series of deliberate choices. What's one step you can take today to move closer to the freedom you truly desire? How often are you truly present in the moment? It's easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of thoughts about what happened yesterday or what might happen tomorrow. But Stoicism teaches us that the only moment we truly have is the present. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most renowned Stoic philosophers, once wrote, "Concentrate every minute like a Roman on doing what's in front of you with precise and genuine seriousness, tenderly, willingly, with justice." This isn't just a poetic sentiment, it's a practical reminder to anchor ourselves in the here and now. Mindfulness, in the Stoic sense, isn't about emptying your mind or achieving a state of bliss. It's about cultivating awareness of your thoughts, emotions, and surroundings without being swept away by them. When you're fully present, you're less likely to be overwhelmed by anxiety about the future or regret about the past. Instead, you can focus on what's within your control, your actions, your reactions, and your mindset. One way to practice this is through mindful breathing. Take a few moments to sit quietly, close your eyes, and focus on the rhythm of your breath. Notice how the air feels as it enters and leaves your body. If your mind starts to wander, gently guide it back to your breath. This simple exercise can help you reconnect with the present moment and reduce stress. Or consider meditation, even if it's just for a few minutes a day. Meditation isn't about escaping reality. It's about observing it with clarity. By sitting with your thoughts and letting them pass without judgment, you train your mind to stay grounded. Over time, this practice can help you approach challenges with a calmer, more focused mindset. Here's a challenge for you. Set aside just 5 minutes today to be fully present. Put away distractions, sit in silence, and focus on what's happening right now. Notice the sounds around you, the feeling of the chair beneath you, or the sensation of your hands resting in your lap. It's a small step, but it can have a profound impact on how you navigate your day. By practicing mindfulness, you're not just reducing stress, you're reclaiming your ability to live intentionally. And in doing so, you're aligning yourself with the timeless wisdom of the Stoics, who understood that peace and clarity are found not in the past or future, but in the present moment. What if change is the only constant in life? This simple yet profound question lies at the heart of Ritual 13, Accept Impermanence. The Stoics believed that nothing in life is permanent, and that resisting this truth only leads to suffering. Instead of fearing change, they taught us to embrace it as a natural and inevitable part of existence. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "We are all chained to fortune, the moment of our birth, the moment of our death. All that we can do is bear with dignity whatever comes our way." This idea reminds us that life is fleeting, and clinging to what we think should last forever only blinds us to the beauty of what is. Think about it. How often do we resist change, even when it's inevitable? Whether it's a career shift, a relationship evolving, or even the seasons turning, we sometimes hold on tightly to what was instead of opening ourselves to what could be. The Stoics would argue that this resistance is a form of self-imposed struggle. By accepting impermanence, we free ourselves from the anxiety of trying to control the uncontrollable. For example, imagine you've just lost your job. It's easy to spiral into worry and doubt, but what if you saw this as an opportunity to grow, to pivot, or to explore something new? That's the power of embracing impermanence. It transforms fear into possibility. Now, take a moment to reflect on a recent change in your own life. Maybe it's something small, like a daily routine shifting, or something larger, like moving to a new city. How did you respond? Did you resist, or did you find a way to adapt? The Stoic practice of accepting impermanence isn't about passive resignation, it's about active engagement with life as it unfolds. It's about finding peace in the flow rather than fighting against the current. What if humility is the path to wisdom? The Stoics believed that true growth begins with acknowledging what we don't know. Humility, in their eyes, wasn't about downplaying your worth. It was about recognizing your limitations so you could transcend them. It's a way of saying, I'm not perfect and that's okay, but I'm willing to learn. This mindset opens the door to self-improvement, allowing us to see ourselves clearly without the filters of ego or pride. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, put it simply, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. What he's saying here is profound. To grow, you have to be willing to look past the fear of judgment or failure. It's about embracing the discomfort of not knowing everything and being open to learning from others. Humility, in this sense, becomes a superpower, a tool for constant evolution. So how do we put this into practice? One powerful way is to actively seek feedback from those around you. Whether it's a mentor, a colleague, or even a friend, asking for honest input on your actions or decisions can reveal blind spots you might not see on your own. It's not always easy to hear criticism, but when you approach it with humility, it becomes less about defending yourself and more about understanding where you can grow. Here's a question to reflect on. What's one area in your life where you could stand to be more humble? Maybe it's in your career where you tend to take on too much without asking for help. Or perhaps it's in your relationships where admitting you're wrong feels like a blow to your pride. Whatever it is, consider how embracing humility in that space could lead to deeper wisdom and stronger connections. After all, the Stoics remind us that the first step to becoming better is recognizing where we fall short, and that's a strength, not a weakness. How can patience transform your life? Imagine a world where you no longer react impulsively to delays or setbacks, but instead meet them with calm and resilience. This is the power of cultivating patience, a virtue the Stoics held in the highest regard. For them, patience wasn't just about waiting. It was about mastering your emotions and maintaining clarity in the face of life's inevitable challenges. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." This wisdom reminds us that while we can't control how long the line at the grocery store is or how slow traffic moves, we can control how we respond. Patience, in this sense, becomes a form of inner strength, a way to reclaim your peace even when the world feels chaotic. Let's bring this into the modern day. Think about the last time you were stuck in traffic. Did frustration take over, or did you take a deep breath and remind yourself that getting upset won't make the cars move any faster? This is where Stoic patience comes into play. It's not about ignoring the inconvenience, it's about choosing how you let it affect you. By practicing patience in small, everyday moments, you train yourself to handle bigger challenges with the same calm focus. Here's a practical way to start. Pick one area of your life where impatience tends to take over. Maybe it's waiting for a response to an important email or dealing with a slow internet connection. Next time it happens, pause, take a moment to reflect on what you can control and what you can't. Then, choose to respond with patience instead of frustration. Over time, this small shift can have a profound impact on how you experience life's ups and downs. Patience isn't just about enduring delays, it's about transforming them into opportunities for growth. When you embrace this mindset, you'll find that the challenges you once saw as obstacles become stepping stones to a more peaceful and successful life. What if forgiveness is a gift to yourself? At first glance, forgiveness might seem like something you offer to others, but the Stoics believed it was a profound act of self-liberation. When you hold onto resentment, anger, or bitterness, it's like carrying a heavy weight that only drags you down. Forgiveness, they argued, isn't about excusing someone else's actions. It's about freeing yourself from the emotional chains that bind you. Seneca once wrote, "Anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it." Think about that for a moment. The anger you feel, the grudge you hold, it doesn't punish the other person. It only consumes you. So how can you practice forgiveness in a way that aligns with Stoic principles? One powerful exercise is to write a forgiveness letter. This isn't something you necessarily send. It's a private act of releasing your feelings. Start by acknowledging the hurt, then shift your focus to understanding why letting go is essential for your peace. The Stoics remind us that external events are beyond our control, but our response to them is entirely within our power. Forgiveness, in this sense, becomes a way to reclaim your inner calm and move forward unburdened. Take a moment to reflect. Is there someone in your life, maybe even yourself, that you need to forgive? What would it feel like to release that resentment and embrace the freedom that comes with it? Remember, forgiveness isn't about forgetting or condoning. It's about choosing peace over pain, growth over stagnation. It's a ritual that not only aligns with Stoic wisdom, but also paves the way for long-term success and serenity. What if wisdom is the ultimate goal, not just for fleeting success or momentary peace, but as the foundation for a life well lived? The Stoics believed that the pursuit of wisdom wasn't just a luxury, it was a necessity. It's the kind of wisdom that helps us navigate life's challenges with clarity, resilience, and purpose. And the beauty of it, it's a lifelong journey, one that grows richer with every step we take. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic thinkers, once said, "Only the educated are free." At first glance, that might sound like he's talking about formal education, but it's deeper than that. He's pointing to the freedom that comes from understanding ourselves and the world around us. When we seek wisdom, we're not just filling our minds with facts, we're equipping ourselves to respond to life with intention rather than reaction. It's about cultivating the ability to see clearly, think critically, and act wisely, no matter what comes our way. So how do we make this pursuit practical? Start small. Maybe it's picking up a book on philosophy, like Marcus Aurelius' Meditations or Seneca's Letters. Or perhaps it's attending a workshop or seminar that challenges your thinking and expands your perspective. Even something as simple as dedicating 30 minutes a day to read, reflect, or listen to a thought-provoking podcast can make a difference. The key is consistency. Wisdom isn't something you stumble upon overnight, it's the result of deliberate, ongoing effort. Here's a question to reflect on. What's one area of your life where you feel the pull to learn more? Maybe it's understanding your emotions better or gaining clarity on your purpose. Whatever it is, take a moment to identify it, because the first step toward wisdom is recognizing where you want to grow. And remember, this isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Every small step you take brings you closer to the freedom that comes from truly knowing yourself and the world around you. How can compassion transform your relationships? At first glance, compassion might seem like a soft or sentimental concept, but in Stoicism, it's a powerful virtue rooted in wisdom and strength. The Stoics believed that extending kindness both to others and to ourselves is not just a moral duty but a way to cultivate inner peace and build meaningful connections. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's most famous Stoic philosophers, often reflected on the importance of empathy, writing, "What injures the hive injures the bee." This simple yet profound idea reminds us that we're all interconnected, and by helping others, we ultimately help ourselves. But how do we practice compassion in a practical, everyday way? It starts with small, intentional acts. Maybe it's offering a listening ear to a friend who's having a tough day, or simply being patient with yourself when things don't go as planned. These moments of kindness might seem minor, but they ripple outward, creating a sense of harmony and understanding in your life and the lives of those around you. Here's a challenge for you today: perform one compassionate act. It doesn't have to be grand or life-changing, just something that reflects genuine care. Hold the door for a stranger, send a thoughtful message to someone you haven't spoken to in a while, or even take a moment to forgive yourself for a mistake. The beauty of compassion is that it doesn't just benefit others, it also strengthens your own sense of purpose and emotional resilience. When you make kindness a habit, you'll find that it becomes a source of long-term success and peace, both for you and for the world around you. What if simplicity is the key to clarity? In a world that constantly demands more possessions, more commitments, more distractions, the Stoics offer a counterintuitive yet deeply liberating idea. True peace and success come from embracing simplicity. Seneca, one of the great Stoic thinkers, once wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more who is poor." This simple yet profound statement reminds us that wealth isn't measured by what we accumulate, but by what we let go of. At its core, Stoic simplicity is about stripping away the unnecessary to focus on what truly matters. It's not about living in deprivation, but about creating space for the things that bring meaning and purpose. Imagine your life as a garden. If you let weeds grow unchecked, they'll choke out the flowers. But when you carefully tend to it, removing what doesn't belong, the beauty of what remains becomes undeniable. That's the power of simplicity. It clears the clutter both physically and mentally, so you can see what's truly important. So how can you start applying this principle today? One practical step is to declutter your environment. Look around your home or workspace. Are there items you no longer use or need? Letting go of physical clutter can create a sense of calm and order, making it easier to focus on your priorities. Another way to embrace simplicity is to evaluate your commitments. Are you saying yes to too many things, leaving you stretched thin and unfocused? By reducing non-essential obligations, you free up time and energy for what truly aligns with your values. Now, take a moment to reflect. What's one area of your life that feels overwhelming or cluttered? Maybe it's your schedule, your workspace, or even your digital life. Identify one thing you can simplify today. It doesn't have to be a massive change. Even small steps can lead to significant shifts. By choosing simplicity, you're not just clearing space, you're creating room for clarity, purpose, and peace. What if detachment is the path to freedom? This is a question that Stoicism invites us to explore, especially when it comes to the way we approach our goals, our relationships, and even our sense of self. Detachment in the Stoic sense doesn't mean giving up or not caring. Instead, it's about releasing our grip on the outcomes we can't control and focusing our energy on what we can influence, our own actions, decisions, and attitudes. Epictetus, one of Stoicism's greatest teachers, put it this way: some things are up to us and some things are not up to us. This simple yet profound idea reminds us that while we can pour our effort into a task, the result, whether it's a promotion, a perfect score, or even someone's approval, isn't entirely in our hands. And when we tie our peace of mind to those outcomes, we set ourselves up for frustration and disappointment. Think about how this applies to modern life. You might be working hard at your job, striving to meet deadlines and exceed expectations. But what happens when you don't get the recognition or the raise you hoped for? If you're attached to that outcome, it can feel like a personal failure. But if you detach, if you focus instead on the effort you put in, the skills you've developed, and the integrity you've shown, you'll find a sense of satisfaction that no external result can take away. This isn't just about work either. It could be a relationship, a creative project, or even a personal goal like losing weight. When we detach from the outcome, we free ourselves from the anxiety of what if it doesn't work out, and open ourselves up to the joy of the process itself. So here's a question to reflect on. What's one outcome you're deeply attached to right now? Maybe it's a promotion, a relationship milestone, or even a personal goal. Take a moment to consider how much of that outcome is truly within your control, and then ask yourself, how might your experience change if you shifted your focus to the effort, the growth, and the journey rather than the result? Detachment isn't about indifference. It's about finding freedom in the understanding that while we can't control everything, we can always choose how we respond. And that's where true peace begins. What if courage is the antidote to fear? The Stoics believed that courage isn't the absence of fear, but the ability to act despite it. It's about standing firm in the face of uncertainty, discomfort, or even danger, knowing that growth lies on the other side. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most respected Stoic philosophers, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. This idea reminds us that fear often stems from things beyond our control, but courage comes from how we choose to respond. Courage, in the Stoic sense, is a virtue, a muscle that grows stronger with use. It's not about reckless bravery or ignoring risks, but about taking deliberate, thoughtful action in the face of what scares us. Think of it like a workout for your character. Every time you confront a fear, no matter how small, you're building resilience and expanding your capacity to handle bigger challenges. So, how can we practice this in our daily lives? Start small. Identify one fear that's been holding you back. Maybe it's speaking up in a meeting, having a difficult conversation, or trying something new. Commit to facing it, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. The goal isn't to eliminate fear entirely, but to prove to yourself that you can move forward despite it. As you take these steps, consider this. What's one fear you've been avoiding, and what might happen if you faced it head-on? The Stoics would argue that courage is the gateway to a more fulfilling, peaceful life. By leaning into discomfort, you're not just overcoming fear, you're reclaiming your power. And every act of courage, no matter how small, is a step toward becoming the person you're meant to be. What if silence is the loudest teacher? In a world that constantly demands our attention, where noise and distractions seem endless, the Stoics understood something profound. Silence isn't empty, it's full of answers. For them, silence was more than just the absence of sound. It was a tool for clarity, a way to step back from the chaos and reconnect with what truly matters. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "Be silent for the most part, or say something better than silence." This wasn't just a call to speak less, it was an invitation to listen more to yourself and to the world around you. Think about it. When was the last time you sat in complete silence without the hum of your phone, the chatter of the TV, or the buzz of your thoughts? For many of us, those moments are rare, but the Stoics believed that silence is where we find peace, where we can untangle the noise in our minds and see things as they really are. It's in these quiet moments that we can reflect on our actions, our choices, and our priorities, free from the influence of external pressures. So how can we bring this into our daily lives? Start small. It doesn't have to be an hour-long meditation or a retreat to a remote cabin. It could be as simple as turning off the radio during your commute, sitting quietly with your morning coffee, or taking a few minutes before bed to breathe deeply and let your mind settle. These small pockets of silence can become anchors in your day, moments to pause and reset. Here's a challenge for you today. Carve out just 5 minutes of silence. No distractions, no devices, just you and your thoughts. Notice how your mind reacts. At first, it might feel uncomfortable, even restless. But as the minutes pass, you might find a sense of calm you didn't realize was there. And in that calm, you might discover answers to questions you've been carrying, or simply a deeper connection to yourself. Silence, after all, is where we meet ourselves. How can you turn setbacks into strengths? This is the heart of resilience, a quality the Stoics believed was essential for living a life of peace and purpose. Resilience isn't just about enduring hardship. It's about using those challenges as opportunities to grow, to learn, and to emerge stronger than before. The Stoics saw adversity not as something to avoid, but as a teacher. As Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This simple yet profound idea reminds us that our power lies in our response to life's difficulties. Think about the last time you faced a major setback. Maybe it was a job loss, a failed project, or a personal disappointment. In those moments, it's easy to feel defeated, as if the world is working against you. But what if you could reframe that experience? What if, instead of seeing it as a failure, you saw it as a chance to build resilience? The Stoics would argue that every challenge is an invitation to strengthen your character, to deepen your understanding of yourself, and to refine your ability to adapt. Let's take a modern example. Imagine someone who loses their job unexpectedly. At first, it feels like a crushing blow, but with a Stoic mindset, they might ask themselves, "What can I learn from this? How can I use this situation to grow?" Maybe they discover new skills, explore a different career path, or even start their own business. The setback, while painful, becomes a stepping stone to something greater. So here's a question for you. Can you think of a time when a setback ultimately led to growth? Take a moment to reflect on that experience. What did you learn about yourself? How did it shape the person you are today? Resilience isn't about never falling. It's about learning how to rise again and again with a stronger foundation each time. And that's a skill worth cultivating. What if giving is the key to receiving? At first glance, it might sound counterintuitive. After all, generosity often means giving something away without expecting anything in return. But Stoicism flips this idea on its head, showing us that giving freely can actually enrich our lives in profound ways. The Stoics viewed generosity as a virtue, not just because it benefits others, but because it cultivates inner peace and strengthens our connection to humanity. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, put it simply, "What is not good for the swarm is not good for the bee." In other words, when we help others, we're also helping ourselves because we're all part of the same interconnected whole. Generosity doesn't have to mean grand gestures or life-changing donations. It's often the small, consistent acts of giving that carry the most weight. It could be as simple as offering your time to listen to a friend, sharing a kind word with a stranger, or even donating a small amount to a cause you care about. These acts, though seemingly small, ripple outward, creating a sense of fulfillment and purpose in your own life. The Stoics believed that by practicing generosity, we train ourselves to focus less on what we lack and more on what we can contribute. This shift in perspective can bring a deep sense of contentment and peace. So, how can you put this into practice today? Take a moment to think about one generous act you can perform, whether it's helping someone with a task, volunteering your time, or simply offering a smile to someone who might need it. The beauty of generosity is that it doesn't require grand plans or resources. It only requires intention. As you go about your day, consider how these small acts of giving can transform not just the lives of others, but your own as well. What will your act of generosity be today? How often are you truly here now, not lost in yesterday's regrets or tomorrow's worries, but fully immersed in this very moment? This is the essence of Ritual 25, Cultivate Presence. The Stoics understood that life unfolds in the now, and to live fully, we must anchor ourselves in the present. Seneca once said, "The greatest obstacle to living is expectancy, which hangs upon tomorrow and loses today." You are arranging what lies in fortune's control and abandoning what lies in yours. In other words, the future is uncertain, but the present is yours to grasp. Living in the present isn't just a philosophical idea, it's a practical way to reduce stress, enhance focus, and find peace. Think about the last time you were so absorbed in an activity that time seemed to disappear. Maybe it was a conversation with a loved one, a walk in nature, or even a simple meal. That's presence in action. The Stoics believed that by focusing on what's right in front of us, we can better handle life's challenges and appreciate its joys. So, how can you cultivate this skill? Start small. Try spending 5 minutes a day simply being present. Sit quietly, feel your breath, and notice the world around you. No distractions, no multitasking, just you and the moment. It's not about perfection, it's about practice. Over time, you'll find it easier to bring that sense of presence into your daily life, whether you're working, talking to a friend, or even doing something as mundane as washing dishes. This ritual isn't just about mindfulness, it's about reclaiming your life from the noise of the past and the uncertainty of the future. When you focus on the present, you're not just surviving, you're thriving. So take a breath, ground yourself, and ask, what can I do right now to live more fully? The answer might just change your day and your life. What if acceptance is the first step to peace? This might sound counterintuitive at first. In a world where we're constantly told to push harder, strive for more, and never settle, the idea of acceptance can feel like giving up. But Stoicism teaches us that acceptance is not about resignation, it's about clarity. It's about seeing reality for what it is, not what we wish it to be, and finding peace in that understanding. Epictetus, one of Stoicism's greatest teachers, put it simply: happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one principle. Some things are within our control and some things are not. This is the essence of acceptance, recognizing the difference between what we can change and what we must learn to live with. When we fight against things outside our control, we waste energy and create unnecessary suffering. But when we accept them, we free ourselves to focus on what truly matters. Think about the modern frustrations we face every day. Traffic jams, delayed flights, or even the weather. These are all things we can't control. Yet, how often do we let them ruin our mood or derail our day? The Stoic practice of acceptance invites us to pause and ask, does resisting this situation help me? Or is it only adding to my stress? By shifting our mindset, we can transform these moments from sources of anger into opportunities for calm. Here's a practical way to apply this. The next time something outside your control goes wrong, take a deep breath and remind yourself, this is not in my hand. But how I respond is, this small shift in perspective can be incredibly liberating. It allows you to let go of frustration and focus on what you can do, whether that's adjusting your plans, finding a workaround, or simply choosing not to let it bother you. Now take a moment to reflect. What's one thing in your life right now that you've been resisting, even though it's outside your control? It could be a personal challenge, a global event, or even a small daily annoyance. What would it feel like to accept it, not as defeat, but as an opportunity to find peace? Acceptance doesn't mean you stop caring or trying. It means you stop letting the uncontrollable dictate your inner state. And that's where true freedom begins. What if integrity is the foundation of success, not just in achievements, but in the peace and fulfillment we find along the way? This is a question the Stoics asked themselves centuries ago, and it's just as relevant today. Integrity in Stoic philosophy isn't just about being honest with others, it's about being true to yourself. It's about aligning your actions with your deepest values, even when no one is watching. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic thinkers, put it simply, waste no more time arguing about what a good person should be. Be one. His words remind us that integrity isn't something you debate, it's something you live. But what does that look like in practice? It starts with clarity. Take a moment to ask yourself, what values matter most to me? Is it kindness, courage, discipline? Once you've identified those core principles, the next step is to let them guide your decisions, big and small. For example, if one of your values is honesty, that might mean speaking up when it's easier to stay silent. If it's compassion, it could mean pausing to help someone, even when you're in a rush. These daily choices, when aligned with your values, build a life of integrity, one decision at a time. Think about it this way: integrity is like the keystone in an arch. Without it, everything else crumbles. When your actions match your values, you create a sense of inner harmony that no external success can replicate. And here's the thing: living with integrity doesn't mean you'll never make mistakes. It means you'll have the courage to own them, learn from them, and realign when you stray. That's where true growth happens. So here's a challenge for you. Pick one value that resonates deeply with you. Maybe it's a value you've always admired but haven't fully embraced in your day-to-day life. Write it down, and over the next week, look for opportunities to act on it. Notice how it feels to live in alignment with what truly matters to you. Because when your actions reflect your values, you're not just building success, you're building a life of meaning. What if moderation is the key to harmony? The Stoics believed that balance in all things, neither too much nor too little, was essential for a life of peace and fulfillment. They saw excess as a source of turmoil, a distraction from what truly matters. Seneca once wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." This idea cuts to the heart of moderation. It's not about deprivation, but about recognizing when enough is enough and finding contentment in that space. Think about how often we chase extremes, whether it's overworking, overindulging, or overcommitting. These habits might feel productive or satisfying in the moment, but they often leave us feeling drained, scattered, or unfulfilled. The Stoic approach invites us to step back and ask ourselves, what am I really gaining from this excess, and what am I losing in the process? Moderation isn't about denying yourself joy. It's about creating room for what truly nourishes your mind, body, and soul. Let's take something as simple as screen time. In a world where notifications and endless scrolling are the norm, it's easy to lose hours without realizing it. But what if you set a boundary, say, an hour less on your phone each day? that time could be redirected towards something more meaningful, like reading, connecting with loved ones, or simply reflecting on your day. Moderation here isn't a restriction, it's an invitation to reclaim your attention and focus on what enriches your life. So, here's a question for you. Where in your life could moderation bring more balance? Is it in your work habits, your diet, your spending, or even your relationships? Take a moment to identify one area where you might be leaning into excess. What small, intentional step could you take today to bring that area back into harmony? Remember, moderation isn't about perfection, it's about progress, one mindful choice at a time. What if challenges are gifts in disguise? It's a question that might seem counterintuitive at first, but the Stoics believed that adversity is one of life's greatest teachers. Think about it, when everything goes smoothly, we rarely grow. It's in the moments of struggle, when we're pushed beyond our limits, that we discover our true strength and resilience. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most renowned Stoic philosophers, once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, the obstacles we face aren't roadblocks, they're stepping stones. They force us to adapt, to think creatively, and to develop skills we might never have needed otherwise. Take, for example, a modern-day struggle like navigating a career setback. Losing a job or facing rejection might feel devastating in the moment, but it can also be the catalyst for exploring new opportunities, learning new skills, or even pivoting to a more fulfilling path. The Stoic perspective encourages us to reframe these experiences not as failures but as opportunities for growth. Challenges, after all, are where character is forged. So here's a thought to reflect on. What's a recent challenge you faced? Instead of dwelling on the frustration or discomfort it caused, consider what it taught you. Did it reveal a strength you didn't know you had? Did it push you to approach a problem in a new way? By cultivating gratitude for these moments, we shift our mindset from resistance to acceptance and from despair to empowerment. The next time life throws you a curveball, remember, it's not just a test, it's a chance to grow. How often do you reflect on your character? It's easy to get caught up in the busyness of life, moving from one task to the next without taking a moment to pause and evaluate how we're showing up in the world. For the Stoics, this kind of self-reflection wasn't just a nice-to-have. It was an essential ritual for living a virtuous life. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." This simple yet profound idea reminds us that growth begins with self-awareness. It's about taking an honest look at our actions, decisions, and intentions to see if they align with the virtues we aspire to embody. So, how can we put this into practice? One powerful way is through journaling. At the end of each day, take a few minutes to write about moments when you acted with courage, wisdom, justice, or self-discipline. But don't stop there. Also reflect on the times when you fell short. This isn't about self-criticism, it's about learning. Ask yourself, what could I have done differently? How can I grow from this experience? Over time, this habit of reflection helps you track your moral progress and stay grounded in your values, even when life gets chaotic. Now think about your own journey. Are there areas where you've seen growth, or perhaps areas where you still struggle? The beauty of this ritual is that it's not about perfection, it's about progress. Every small step you take toward becoming a better version of yourself is a victory. So, as you go about your day, keep Epictetus's words in mind. First, decide who you want to be, and then take the actions that move you closer to that ideal. Because in the end, it's not just about what you achieve, it's about who you become along the way. As we come to the end of this journey through the 30 Stoic rituals, let's take a moment to reflect on the profound impact they can have when practiced together. These rituals aren't just isolated habits, They're a symphony of principles working in harmony to cultivate resilience, presence, and gratitude in your life. Each one, from morning reflections to evening meditations, from embracing discomfort to practicing humility, builds upon the others to create a foundation for long-term success and inner peace. Together, they form a roadmap for living with intention, clarity, and strength no matter what challenges life throws your way. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." This timeless truth reminds us that the power to shape our lives lies within our minds. By adopting even one of these rituals, you begin to transform the quality of your thoughts and, in turn, the quality of your life. Maybe it's starting your day with a moment of stillness or ending it by reflecting on what you're grateful for. Perhaps it's learning to accept what you cannot control or finding joy in the present moment. Whatever ritual resonates with you, the key is to start small, but start today. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these rituals speaks to you most? Maybe you've already begun incorporating some of them into your life. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's create a community of like-minded individuals striving for growth and peace. And if you found value in this video, don't forget to subscribe for more Stoic wisdom to guide you on your journey. Remember, the path to a fulfilling life isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Take that first step and let the wisdom of the Stoics light your